So we're here at Matt's 2024 at the Big Rig Tees booth with Aaron Hatfield. So Aaron, let's just kind of kick this off, right? So you've been in transportation how long?
Been in transportation about a decade.
About a decade. Now you started consulting, you said this last year.
Yeah, end of last year, about 6 months ago now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so give us the Hatfield story.
All right. Well, yeah, I got into first job I had out of college after the military was at a cold storage warehouse. So, got my start on the warehousing side, moved my way through some software sales, some broker positions that I independently brokered for a while. And then most recently was with a last mile delivery startup called Freight. Had a wonderful experience there, got a whole different piece of the supply chain. And then end of last year, ended up starting Hatfield Consulting. And, I wanted to focus on multiple links to the supply chain, how to bridge those gaps. And, with Hatfield Consulting, what I do is I join smaller teams that are working on their go-to-market phases, mostly right now in warehousing and so forth, software. But I work with them on building those frameworks to be able to really attack those sales goals, but also those fundamental growth goals that they have. And one of the reasons I'm down here, is being in the supply chain for a better part of a decade. I've never driven truck, right? And, from the spaces that I've been in, it's always been, hey, you can have the greatest idea in the world, but if you can't talk the truck and if you can't understand the needs and what's important to drivers, it's going to sink. So this is down here, I'm using, I'm just attending as Hatfield Consulting, using it as an educational opportunity, and really just most of the time, just I'll go by these booths and just stop and listen. So it's been great what I'm able to pick up, and hopefully can use this information to bridge those silos from the consulting perspective.
Yeah, I mean, this is the core of the industry here, and anything and everything is here. So, when you look at Matt's, I think I put this out. Maybe I put part of it out, or I'm crafting the next message. But everything associated with transportation is here, and when you get down to it, to the point of your message is the core of our industry is the driver.
Absolutely.
It really doesn't matter if you're a broker, if you're an insurance agent, if you're in warehousing, if you're a consultant.
Right.
But if we don't have drivers and we're not creating a great environment for drivers, and we don't understand what our driving community does, we're not representing them.
Absolutely. I was talking with some folks last night, and just being able to understand what's important and their needs is it's great from, again, just a learning perspective. But I've told people is regardless of what position you're in, whether you're a broker, warehousing, even last mile software, etc., I'd highly recommend coming to shows like this because, to your point, of the variety, and it all comes to something about along the lines of 70% of goods in the United States are transferred on the back of a truck.
Right.
And that's an indicator to me that's saying, hey, we need to talk to more of these drivers, because the only way that we're gonna, the logistics industry, supply chain, they've been singing the same tune at least since I've been in it about a decade, and there's always silos. And how do you start doing this? Well, folks like yourself, we got the truck parking club over there, we got the Only Freight guys. You are all folks that are bridging those gaps,
right,
bridging those silos. And for me, when I see something I believe in, when I see good people doing good work, I like to be involved and I like to understand.
So that's really, we launched that message a couple of years ago, but I don't think we launched it in a very big way until September. And then we added nitrous to it and we continue to double it down. And you saw it last night. I know I missed you. Maybe I missed you. I think I saw you leave.
I think we just missed. Yeah.
Last night at the Freight deck.
Yeah.
Whatever mixer.
Right.
That happened last night. That continued on for many hours. I did go to karaoke for a little bit. But, I turned into a pumpkin at midnight, and my Uber almost that happened. So, but that's a great event to that point. You go and you sit down and you have leaders of companies, you have social media influencers, you have radio personalities, you have drivers, you have small fleet owners, you have big fleet owners, you have all of these people that are now coming together because these certain groups of people said, hey, you're all cool people.
Exactly.
You're all smart people.
Right.
Let's break bread.
Exactly. And I think that's smart. It's and the lessons to be learned are invaluable. And especially from a sales side of things, where I come, sales, customer success, that kind of focus. Sales has gotten a bad rap, or the broker side has gotten a bad rap. But I don't think it's totally undeserved.
Oh no, not at all.
And,
I'm a sales guy too, so I agree.
And that's the kind of thing, I've had a lot of great mentors, and being able to listen to these folks, it's sell something worth selling. Don't sell hot air. Is the honesty, the transparency that you get from events like last night, being able to just ask questions and then be willing to just listen. And I think that's something that I've been learning personally, but it's something being further into this industry. And again, from folks like yourself, is just ask open-ended questions, learn before you come talk to a trucker, before you come talk to a carrier, or folks like, like that what your organization focuses on is learn the ins and outs before you start trying to sound like you're part of the label or whatever.
Right. Yeah, definitely listen. It's always about listening.
Right.
So you can be an authority on the subject, but still doesn't mean that you shouldn't listen. You can be, a lot of comments around if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. But that being said, if you're being paid to be the smartest guy in the room, you still should listen. You still should listen to the people in the room before you start to speak.
Absolutely. And I don't mean that, and this goes for anybody across the board. Be confident in what you know.
Right.
Be confident in the value that you bring to the table. But also with that confidence, it's recognize, look at other people's strengths as complements to your weaknesses versus a competition.
Right.
And that's when I think not only with the, clients I work with building these teams, that's where you see a lot of the growth happen is everybody's on it. They're preferring each other. Right. And it's, but yeah, that's always the caveat there. Is I always tell people is don't underplay, don't be confident. Is what you bring to the table. Be willing to go, neck and neck with somebody else and really make good things happen.
Your team, when your team is people that you want to actually hang out with, when your team is people and they're authorities on the subject, but they're actually you enjoy spending time with them to the point where you travel to all these events and then you leave and you're like, when's the next event? I want to go hang out with you.
Right.
And you get like the Lost Freight crew or Truck Bar Club or these guys where when you're not at an event for months and you're like, okay, when's the next conference? Because I'm ready to go hang out with Evan Hunter and I'm ready to go meet my friends again.
Right.
And these are other business owners, but now they're not even that. These are people you consider
relationships. Yeah. And I think that's, I'm newer to some of these circles. I know, we've connected here, but is that's one of those things is being newer. It's really enjoyable because not only am I learning a ton that complements what I'm focused on, but at the same time I'm enjoying the individuals that I'm learning from. And it's not necessarily, I'm a one-man, I'm a one-stop shop, but being able to be a part of those type of, networks or communities that are a little bit different from the ones that I've been in previously. Right. It's really enjoyable.
But it's about putting yourself out there. And a lot of people are receptive to that, especially in the groups that we're talking about. They're very receptive about that. And it doesn't matter if you're a $100 million company or $1 million or 500,000, or you're just starting up and you're still in the red.
Right.
A lot of these organizations don't care. They're just happy that you're there and you aren't an asshole.
Right. The genuineness is refreshing.
Right.
That is for sure.
And that's a perfect word. They're genuine. And they're just good people. And then you take that energy, and in my case, I do have a few employees.
Right.
A good number of them.
Right.
And I focus that back in on my team as much as I possibly can. And unfortunately, we're remote a lot,
Yeah.
so that's been a challenge for me is to learn how to lead remote teams.
Yeah.
And I've been remote for many, many years, but we don't get together enough. We need actually. I have somebody working on this right now. Repetitive meetings in smaller groups, not getting together 30, 40 people at one time, but getting together 5 and in pockets regularly. So I can take this energy that I found over the last year and start focusing it more
Oh, absolutely.
one-on-one.
I think that's wise, and I think I think that's wise because it's down to the granular level, whether it's your personal team, whether it's the folks that you're meeting here, it's down to relationships. And, something I'm seeing a lot of here recently, again, from folks like yourself, these teams and these folks that are here is intentionality, right? And I think a lot of times that's what that sales shtick is starting to wear off, is people are approaching it. What is it? I think Dan Lindsay, last week, you and Robert had him on and he was talking about being authentic.
Yep.
And I tell you what, he couldn't have hit the nail better on the head with that.
You wrote about it, I think.
It's something along those lines. Yeah. And I shared that because it resonated because, we're seeing this shift in the industry, both, and these bridges are forming because of the authenticity and the intentionality. Right. And I think people are just tired of shticks.
Yeah. I call it bullshit. Yeah.
Exactly.
They're just tired of it. And absolutely that. But the shtick, I don't. Maybe it's because I'm around 70,000 truckers, but I don't swear that often. So, and I've been hanging around Bain. I've been hanging around Bain for days, and it's like a sailor. So, so that probably plays into some of it too. But I got to switch my gears because I'm going to PCA next, and I got to,
button it up a little bit. No, it's 7.5 years in the Army. That's one thing I get it. It's
thank you for your service, by the way.
I appreciate
it. So, but I think there's a lot of people that are tired of it. We're tired of the fraud.
Yeah.
We're tired of the bad actors. We're tired of the people who are not safe. We're tired of those that are not taking care of each other.
Right.
As a former driver, when I started driving, drivers took care of each other.
Right.
And I still think a lot of them do. But there's a lot of questions out there today on the road, and it's a scarier place. It's a different place, and a lot of people are just tired of it.
Exactly. Well, I think it's a cultural thing too. You're seeing a lot of folks, regardless of who you are, where you're from, what you do, is they're looking for that authenticity, in multiple ways, and we're starting to see that shift. For me, I'm 31. Hopefully, have a lot longer time in the industry. Yeah. But as somebody younger, of course, to everybody, most of my friends, I'm the older one, but it's, younger, with small kids and everything, especially is being a part of industries like this. I mean, look how many people we see walking by with their families.
Right. Turn the light on here and people start congregating.
Right.
So, turn the light on, start talking, people start hanging out. Normally, I would have a speaker up here so they could hear us. I didn't do that here, so. But they just hang out because we have a light on. So I'll do this. I'll do this just so we have it. Let's see. Boom! You are all on camera, people. So they're not even watching us at this moment. It just starts stopping.
Right.
And I don't know why, but no one was stopped here when you came up. They're all just walking past. But you start talking here, and people just start talking. So whether they decided to buy T-shirts or whatever, I don't know.
Well, it's great to see stuff like Big Rick Tees over here too. Talking about authenticity and intentionality. I was able to talk with the team, but I talked with Hayden, the marketing director on the team, and he was just telling me more about Big Rig Tees and everything that's going on, and how they're focused on creating a community and identity, for the drivers. And I think that's something that's been missing for years. With you mentioned the shift, but is now coming into it is. People are looking for that community, and I think it's great to see Big Rig Tees. You got all these folks congregating as they're finding their folks. Yeah,
absolutely. They have an amazing story and an amazing booth at the Texas truck show.
Yeah.
So they bring in a truck, like a decked out truck and everything. They have like an 80 by 120 booth.
Wow.
And yeah, and on top of that, they have awesome shirts. I'm gonna be getting some shirts done from them that are just gonna be epic for the Driving Forward podcast.
That's
I don't know what we're gonna do for GLCS because that's a little different thing, but Driving Forward podcast, that's the next run of shirts.
cool.
Is to get some really cool, epic ones with the red Peterbilt. As we start off the podcast, we're gonna do red Peterbilt. Driving Forward podcast on the trailer, and then GLCS on the license plate. It'll be.
I love it.
I'm looking forward to that. So any final words of wisdom?
Just final words of wisdom, and it's because people have told this to me. It's just in every situation, especially if you're in sales, just be willing to listen and learn before speaking. Is whether you be confident in what you bring to the table, but life's an education. Right. And then if you're not learning, well, you're stuck. So it's, in every possibility, there's always everybody that I've met here at this show, the LinkedIn network and community that I'm a part of. There's always something to learn because there's always a perspective that I'm not thinking necessarily, or a different viewpoint. And just being willing to, and that's something that was driven into me by previous mentors. And, I try to share that every time I can. It's, listen when you can, learn when you can, and just put your best foot forward and pay it forward.
Oh, that sounds wise. For 31, you're doing pretty well for yourself, guys.
Nice.
And so, I always, there's a number of guys in your age right now, in your age group, that are coming up and that I'm becoming friends with, and I enjoy seeing that age group and how amazing you guys are, and all the stuff that's happening in that side. So it's really cool to see you guys doing your things. Keep on doing what you're doing, and I'm always here. You guys want to bounce something off me, just throw me a message. You got an idea. I've done a lot of stuff right and wrong, so I've done plenty of wrong too. So
no, I appreciate it. Genuinely. Thank you.
So thanks for coming out and chatting with us. I know you're leaving here in an hour or so, and safe travels to you, and look forward to chatting in the future.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right.